So while we were in New Orleans, we volunteered for a day with this organization called Common Ground, and they put us to work in the lower Ninth Ward, clearing out an old abandoned lot that used to be a community garden.
Most people know that during Hurricane Katrina, the lower Ninth Ward got flooded pretty badly. In fact, there were about 23 feet of water covering the entire neighborhood, and that resulted in about 1,600 deaths and a huge amount of property damage. Now the neighborhood is pretty jungly.
So anyway, we were taken to this lot, which used to be a garden. It was completely overgrown, and we spent the morning with a couple other people cutting down weeds and small trees and leveling it and picking up trash.
Next door to the garden that we were working on, there is this house that was obviously not being lived in, but its front door was wide open, so we decided to kind of walk in and poke around a little bit.
So the place was completely destroyed. You could see the high water mark up on the wall, just a couple inches below the ceiling. There was mud on the floor, caked inches deep.
It was like an inch thick, this mud, and there was grass stuck to the walls. There were some old bits of clothing and things.
Yeah, there were these strange like artifacts almost left behind. There was this dirty suit jacket hanging on a wall. There was a Richard Pryor record of all things.
Some old stuffed animals. It was really quite sad. The place was destroyed, and you could tell that people lived here.
And the worst part is that you knew that the neighborhood is full of these houses.
So we drove around the neighborhood a little bit and looked at some other houses and generally gawked at the flood damage. I started to feel a little uncomfortable at one point, especially after we had gone into this house to see the damage. I felt like it was kind of the worst kind of tourism, just driving around and looking at this. And someone actually told us that there are bus tours that drive through the lower Ninth Ward to show tourists the devastation in New Orleans.
Yeah, we were definitely disaster tourists. I think we tried to justify our presence by volunteering, but the truth is that we were driving around town videotaping these giant spray-painted X's, which were used to mark houses where people had died.
And even though we had seen all of these pictures on the news and heard this story before, for some reason we had to go and see it all for ourselves. We even drove up to the new levee that they built in place of the old one that came down in the storm. The new levee is actually twice as big and twice as wide as the old one was, but it's still not expected to hold up against another storm the size of Katrina.
So while we've been giving you nothing but bad news, the truth is it was a positive visit and things seem to be going pretty well there. There's definitely people coming back and there's definitely people rebuilding.
Yeah, and we had a great time. I mean, we went out, had delicious food, we saw music. We really had the New Orleans experience that anyone would have told us we were going to have before Hurricane Katrina hit.
And people's spirits were so high, even in what seemed the bleakest circumstances, they seemed to really love the city.
It's a beautiful place.
And I'm very excited to go back.
Yeah, me too.